Hello YouTube, this is Tammy Pie and I'm back with another video. This is going to be a hashtag, hopefully. I think it's a hashtag. Yeah, it's a hashtag. This is to Angel over at Feeding My Soul 1212, and I think she just called it 12 decks. That's what I'm going with anyway. I'll have the appropriate title in the title space. But she kind of said, well, there's 4 prompts, 3 decks per prompt. And she gave us 4 prompts, and I didn't write them down or anything because I took a long walk. I went by the ocean today. I'm babysitting. I got things to do all weekend, and I just wanted to do a tag. So here we are. So 3 decks. Prompt 1 for me is going to be 3 decks that I have not yet shown you because today I received a prize. I won Lennox Reese giveaway. She is Hello Ivy on Instagram and was giving away some decks, and I got chosen at random. So I picked Folkloric Forest. Ta-da! And yeah, I'm excited. I was talking to somebody on one of Simon's premieres about having patience. I do not. Patience is not my strong suit. So completely gorgeous. Lennox, I believe, is actually a graphic artist. So, of course, her stuff their stuff is going to be beautifully designed. And there's been walkthroughs of this quite a bit, which is how I knew when they reached out to me and said, well, pick a deck. Which one would you like to win? I was certain that this is the one. Oh, it smells good. Oh, and the cardstock is lovely. This is going to be fun to shuffle. I'd seen walkthroughs of this. I love a really good effort at curating found art, which I believe this really is. The other decks that they created are also gorgeous, and honestly, if I could have had a package of all their decks, that would not have hurt my feelings even a little bit. But I'll do a little more deeper walkthrough of that at another time. I just was very excited and wanted to open it right now. I think I mentioned in that same thing that I bought these secondhand. These are the Libra Moon decks, Paul's Moon, and the Medieval Oracle of the Beasts. We'll count that as one. Tarot of Paul's Moon. I'm sure you've seen walkthroughs of this. Stunning backs. This is one of those decks where you might just go for it because of the backs, right? In case anybody has not noticed this yet, these are the geomancy figures and their names and their shields. But I just recently got this and put it back in order, of course. And it's absolutely delicious. I really like medieval art. So this is right up my alley. My worst problem with figuring out which one of these that I wanted. And I just got lucky one day. Somebody said, I am going to let a couple of these go. Would you like them? And yes, I did. Yes, I do. They're really cool, and I'm really glad that I went for it. So that is the Tarot of Paul's Moon. And then I'll show you the Oracle, and that'll be 3 decks. What did I do with it? Unless I just misplaced it. Did I just misplace it and now I don't know where it is? Okay, I didn't even move. So how is this possible? All right, well, somehow I misplaced that. So we'll show you the other really cool deck that I was recently gifted by the resident tarot fairy god person, Joe. This is the Royal Moroccan Fez. And this was an unopened copy. I actually did like a little film of me opening it because I was afraid to open it. It had lived for 50 years without being opened. This is a 1975 deck. The little white book says it's like the 10th printing or something. So it's been around since the 70s. And it was still sealed. So, but it was when I was having trouble with my computer, and all the sound is gobbledygook. It was just miserable. So I thought, well, maybe I could take the sound off. No, I couldn't. I just deleted it, and we'll live with that. But this is astonishing. So that's 3. All right. Like I said, I don't remember what her prompts were. So we're just going to go with my prompts. I am going to give you 3 decks whose next printing is different from the printing that I have. So in part because I've been wanting to show this deck, Sincerely Shanady, here on YouTube and Instagram, created this deck called the Little Bird Tarot with its field guide. She gave us the most favored of all tarot boxes. And this is a deck made entirely of Audubon's artwork. So I actually own I think they're called a Small Portfolio of Northern American Birds, which is this gigantic book. It weighs about, 6 pounds or so. It's one of those books that you have to have like a book platform for, to really look at it with comfort. But Shanady did this deck a couple of years ago now, and I could not wait to get it because I've been a bird watcher. My grandfather was like a champ. He went all over the world bird watching. I got that book from my grandfather. And he actually left his birding notebooks to the Washington Birding Authority or whatever. But Shanady has now put out a new edition of this and is taking pre-orders. So if this kind of imagery excites you, if you think you could work with it, and this is really wonderful. She really matched the bird and plant to the energy of tarot very well, in my opinion. So, and this blends really well with tons of other decks. But the new edition that she put out has different backs. It's got a different box. She rearranged some of the artwork. It's going to be really nice, and I am very tempted to order a second edition. This one. I actually was going to wait for the Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2, but I kept seeing people with this deck, and I decided I wanted this one. Because, yeah, the Tigger is a Disney add-in, and Pooh, for me also, like for many of you, is all about the books. The books were so fun and so funny, and I have such good memories of my mom and I reading these books together. The artwork has been totally redrawn and painted, but it really feels just like the books. In a way, I think this artwork is even a little bit better. But the new edition has Tigger in it. And they've been running sales and stuff where they let the old decks go for really very reasonable prices for how much these decks were originally. I mean, I think they were like $85 for the deck. And she's been having like 30% off sales and stuff like that. Okay, so that one, the next edition was very different. This one, who was it? Someone was talking, someone had done one of the Thirsty Eyes for Tarot tags, or Hungry Eyes for Tarot, sorry. Hungry Eyes for Tarot. And they were talking about how they loved this deck. And this is one of the decks that they were hungry for. And this is not, I think she was showing screenshots of the larger edition, but this is the 4th edition, the regular size one. And she called this the last edition because she was already having trouble with people saying, what about this and what about that? And she was like, I don't want to deal with you people anymore. But since then, every subsequent edition has had a different colorway. And I'm telling you, that last edition of the Stunning Tarot, so beautiful. Wow. I'm so sorry that I didn't get that one on time, but I didn't have money. I went and bought that Paul's Moon stuff, and these things happen, right? But, and I edged this in the same colors that are in the deck. See that? This is, I love this deck. But subsequent editions have different artwork. Still there? Wow, that was exciting. Okay, 3 decks that I've done in-depth studies on by watching TV. Okay, so the last time I brought this deck out, I was talking about how I don't really watch TV. I watched all this stuff on streaming stuff. So I was able to like get through it much faster. But I mean, I watched these when I was a kid. So when I first ordered this deck, I started watching the original Star Trek series from the beginning. I watched the whole thing. And I started out watching, the first episodes. But when the deck got to me, what I would do is I would draw cards and watch the episode for the cards. And sometimes I'd watch a couple episodes in a day. And I'm ashamed to say sometimes more. And then I read the guidebook, and it's just amazing. It's such a great, fun experience. It's so fun to recognize some of these actresses and actors that were extras in these shows. And it's so silly, and yet also such kind of basic base camp of, I don't know, my young TV watching personality, I guess. Star Trek TOS by Welkin. And he's got an Etsy shop, but then he also has like his own website. And sometimes some of the decks are not on the Etsy shop because he doesn't want to get hit with whatever. right? Okay, and this is an Insight Editions deck. This is the Supernatural Tarot. And I watched every single episode. This one I went from the beginning to the end of season 14. Sam and Dean. And this is just great tarot. But it was fun to watch all this stuff. Oh, and I also listened to, there's a podcast where they watch the show and then they go through, like, these two friends go through all the, like, they talk about the fashion and whether the show was really good or not. Like, they love her. Everyone does. She's so cool. The World from Inside the Impala. Of course it is. All right, here we go. And then after I'd done Supernatural, well, we had to go back to Insight and do Buffy. Now, I remember seeing the movie. And then I watched some of Buffy when I was younger. But I'm not quite the right generation. I'm 61. So really it was the 90s kids who were, you know, all up in the Buffy world, right? But, I mean, it was a great show. Romantic, teenage, but teaches people a lesson, right? And it's all about, you know, having friends and young love and things you got to give up to do what you got to do. And I really enjoyed the end of this. I thought they ended the series really well. I didn't get into it as much as I got into Supernatural, I have to admit. But I was really stoked by the time I was finished with the ending of it and how well they really did match this deck to Buffy. Okay, and my final is going to be 3 decks that were expensive, but I didn't care. I wanted them anyway, okay? And I'm going to go from the one I spent the least amount of money on to the one I spent the most amount of money on. But I'm not going to tell you how much I spent. So this was actually the... was this the first one? I think this was the first deck I ever bought myself. The first deck I had was sent to me. But this one, this is the first edition Tildwick. And even when I first bought this, when it first came out, from the creator's website, it was already expensive for me. I was already like, what? Are you kidding me? But I had to have it. I did not care. I had to have this deck. It was so interesting to me what he did and how he came to work these like this, the fulcrum. So interesting. Work these Photoshop collage ideas into tarot. And they really are. They're really very tarot-ish. Trying to get this to... I'm going to go in on that. That's the 8 of coins. See the girl in the field? Ugh. Ugh. Sorry, my lighting is just not that good. But even at the time, it was expensive for me. I was like, wow, that's almost $100 for a deck of cards. I don't know if I can get behind that. But I didn't care. I got it anyway. I'm so glad I did, because later on, it was even more expensive. Holy guacamole. And honestly, in my opinion, that first edition is the best edition. All right. We're going to go for this one. forget how I got these. This one was a separate purchase, but these two go together. And I got this one for that. This one I hemmed and hawed about because this one, it's not perfect. Someone had written in pencil on it, and then the person who owned it before me found a perfect one and was selling their imperfect one. But this one, this is just the best edition of this deck. I want to show, I love that Hanged Man and that world. I think that they did such a good job putting this deck together. And I also looked at the other decks that used this artwork and thought about getting them, but I like this so much. And I looked at the next edition of this deck, and I got the big deluxe version. I didn't like it as much. I never touched it. I only want to use this one. All right. And this is probably, I think this is the most expensive deck that I ever bought. Or it's the most money that I ever spent on a deck. I mean, sometimes you just want things, right? I can have nice things. And this is, of course, the Masonic Tarot by Jean Bouchard. Tarot Symbolique Masonique. And it's just a beautiful piece of tarot art. And I've shown this deck before. Now I've seen the faked decks of this online for sale. It's not the same thing. Don't be fooled. And what you don't get when you buy those fakes is this. This is essential. It's really important to this deck. Like, you don't have to use it all the time when you read, but I mean, if you really want to know what's going on in these cards, you want to have that guidebook. And it's not very long. It just really succinctly explains the cards. Let me show you some more majors. Knight of Cups, King of Cups. Oh, the great Ace of Cups. King of Batons. Oh, she's so pretty. See what I mean? Sometimes you just get a thing because you want the thing, and it doesn't matter that much. I mean, it kind of mattered. At the time, I was like, oh my God, what have I done? But I'm so happy to have it. Every time I look at it, I'm so glad that I got this deck. And that's it, folks. That's my 12 decks. And thank you for coming.